Hi, I'm Braxton Kolfs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to heat treat metal. Heat treating metal is a skill that most people don't know, most people don't want to know, but I thought it was really interesting and something unique that I knew how to do, and I thought it'd be cool to show you guys how to do this. Um, so the whole purpose of heat treating metal is to make the metal harder and stronger. And you want to make it harder, but you don't want it to become brittle. And so there's two things you have to do. You have to heat treat it, and then you have to temper it. And heat treating is when you take your piece of metal, which this is actually hot still, but and you will heat this up super, super, super hot. And when you do that, it'll become red, it'll be orange colored. Then you'll take that piece of metal and you'll quench it in oil. I'm just using motor oil. You can use vegetable oil, anything you have at home, really, as long as it's oil. Some people use water, but I'm using oil today. I just had this and I bought it and I'm not using it, and so I said, hey, it's perfect. So, and then I have it in my Canada Dry 10 can here, that high-tech equipment, right? You need to have a metal container that you can quench your piece of metal in. So you'll take your hot piece, you'll quench it in your oil. The flames will probably come up, depending on how hot it is. And what happens is, when it's hot, atoms are moving super, super quick, and when you quench it, they stop. Wherever they were at, they stop. And so, because it cools down so fast. Normally, when they're moving super fast, and as they cool over time, they slowly they slow down and they'll mesh together a little bit, and that's not what we want. That doesn't make for a hard metal. What we're going to need to do this is you're going to need a piece of metal. I'm using a piece of a bracket that I found lying around, and then I wire brushed it off, got it cleaned up, and ready to heat it up and quench it in the oil. So you'll have your piece of metal. I have a couple clamps here, just because the heat needs to be on it for a while to get it really hot, and I don't feel like holding the torch for half an hour. I just have my torch with some duct tape over the trigger, and like I said, high-tech equipment. And I'm using MAP gas rather than propane, because MAP gas burns hotter than propane, and that's going to speed this process up a lot quicker. So I'm going to get that going, and then I will take my pliers. I have channel locks here. They have a long handle on them, which is nice because I can keep my hand away from the flame and the heat from when I'm quenching it and when I grab it. And then I also have some flame retardant gloves. I'm using welding gloves. You can use any type of thick glove that'll protect your hand. I'm using them because they'll protect my wrist and forearm and stuff. And so I like them a lot. I use them for most everything. So I'm going to be wearing those, and be safe. Wear safety glasses when you're doing this kind of thing. I don't really see an eye threat here, but you never know. So, you'll be working with really hot things and sometimes sharp objects, so just be careful. Alright, so I'm going to heat up this piece of metal here, and I'll get back with you in a sec. Alright, I'm back, and this has been heating up for a little while. As you can see, it's orange hot, red hot. I don't know, it's scientific terminology, orange hot. What I'm going to do is, this is going to be a fast process where I take it out of there and quench it in the oil. So I'm going to loosen the clamp, take it out, quench it in the oil, and that'll be the heat treating process. Just get ready real quick. Now you're gonna want to swoosh it around. Like if it was a blade the long way, you would want it to. Oh man, this smells horrible. If it was a blade, you'd want to cut through the oil, kind of thing. And this is just to prevent warping. If you were to go, you know, this way, it may cause warping in the metal. So you don't want to let this cool in there for just a little bit. Probably, you know, I don't really know an exact time, but man, this stuff is everywhere. It's nasty. Whew, probably should not breathe that in. Wear a mask when you do this. All right, that's it for the heat treating process. I'm gonna let this cool down. I'm gonna wipe it off, and then I'll pop it in the oven for about 2 hours, and at about 400 degrees. And that's gonna be the tempering process. That's gonna be where this metal is really, really hard right now, but it's brittle also. And so when I put it in the oven for 2 hours, it will harden the metal up, but it'll make it less brittle. So that way it won't break or shatter when I put force on it. So I'm gonna let this cool, clean it up, and I'll get back to you guys in a minute. All right, I'm back, and you're gonna wanna preheat your oven to 400 degrees. So you want to bake your knife, you know. I learned this method from Martha Stewart herself. Yeah, she always says to bake it at 450, but you know, it just don't turn out the same, you know. So gonna preheat that, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, I'm back. I have my piece of metal here, and my oven's all preheated, and I need to cook it for about 2 hours. So let's pop this in here real quick. Alright guys, I took my piece of metal out of the oven and let it cool, and this is what it looks like. It's been heat treated and tempered in the oven, and so now it's harder but not brittle. And that's how you heat treat and temper metal. So I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you learned something. Thanks, bye.